And race 2 is going to be underway very shortly as we hit Bristol Motor Speedway. It's a half mile, a tricky one that is coming into our obviously early part of the season here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. It was a tough race for some just a couple of weeks ago as we hit Auto Club, but we come to a very different circuit and we'll have to find out who is going to master the very tricky little stadium that we have here for round 2. It's myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the cameras for this RaceSpotTV broadcast of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. Ewan, is going to be something very, very different indeed as we hit, of course, an interesting point in the season, because the drivers just need to work their way into it and get up to speed as we go racing once more. So Auto Club last week, Bristol this week, we work our way through Kansas, Talladega, and a number of other tracks. We got double header at Iowa. That is going to be interesting. We have New Hampshire this season as well before we end the regular season in Daytona, and then 5 rounds of the playoffs ending in Phoenix in May 2025. A long way to go before we get to that. And of course, last week, or 2 weeks ago I should say, it was Alex Aronson who took the win at Auto Club and of course takes the championship lead with that. He had his teammate Oliver Wallen just in behind, but it was Jesper Eriksson with those stage points just getting ahead of your third place finisher Svenska, who is now 4th place in the championship. And of course, can't read too much into the standings just yet after just one race. But Ewan, it was certainly a lot more calm a couple of weeks ago than what we're going to see here.
It was, and it's part of an opening 4-race section to this calendar that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago. From Auto Club, which is, pretty wide open and fast, to Bristol, which is certainly not. Kansas, a pretty standard 1.5 miles, and then you get to Talladega, where literally anything can happen. The first of 2 super speedway races we have in this season, the 19 races until May of next year, as you say. So I very much take this race as part of the first 4, if you like. 4 very different circuits, and getting off to a good start is relatively important, but forget, if you get a win, then you're into the playoffs, and that's exactly what Alexander Aronson has already done, and so he will be the most relaxed of anybody going into this very short and small circuit.
It's going to be a tough one. 300 laps, the Lagerkungen 300, and that is a lot of racing in terms of laps, but of course just a half mile, so 150-mile race. And qualifying has just finished. Jesper Eriksson will be on the pole position with his ex-teammate Alex Aronson, and your winner from race 1 alongside him. We got Peppels in 3rd place and Svenska in 4th, as he is in the standings. Forsland is in 5th, and then Dan Holmer, that's a bit better from him. He struggled in qualifying last time, down in 6th place. Nyholm and Sjö will round out from the 4th row, and then we have Fredriksson and Skoglund inside your top 10. Tedemo and Helm will race from the 6th row as we have a pretty stacked field, loads of drivers coming here to Bristol. Eriksson and Lundberg are on your 7th row with Tyr and Dahlstrand inside your top 16, then Blomqvist and Broström down in 18th place after a strong showing in that first race. Wildeberg is in 19th, and Uvenen up inside your top 20. Håkan in the 101 in P21, and then Cedric Holmbaum is P22. Canel and Hagström round out your front 12 rows. Then we got Wang and Auto inside your top 26, Åkesson and Motin inside your top 28, then Stiller and Pfeffer rounding out your top 30. And then on the final page of today, you'll get a couple of drivers who didn't set some times. Bjorn Broström, the last to set a time, then Marcus Hagman, Peter Helmbro, Gantz and Nordgren will go from the back of the grid, having not set a time. Of course, Helmbro, a couple of times a pole position winner in this series, but not quite today. He's got a lot of work to do. It's a big field, Ewan, and there's not much space. If you divide the track length per car, you've only got a few meters really either side of you.
Yeah, exactly. I can't quite do that maths on how many it is. I can't really do 800 odd divided by 35, but it's not very many meters, that's for sure. This race will be just over 250 kilometers, by the way, in length. It's around 257, but 300 laps, as you can see, and the stage break will be at lap 125, although it's not really a break because there is no yellow flag flown. However, the yellow flag will likely be thrown quite a few times before then, and indeed afterwards, because that's exactly what Bristol is known for. In real life, actually, it seems to have cleaned up a little bit in the last few years, as opposed to what it used to be like about 20 odd years ago. It used to be a caution every 15 laps on average, around a 500 lap race. You can imagine how long those would take. But we're not going to have a stage break here, but plenty of cautions otherwise, and maybe 2 chances at the end, 2 green white checkers at the end to sort out that run to the flag, if of course we need it.
It's going to be a patient game, let's say, as we see the drivers work their way through the pace laps. Great to have loads of them providing their webcam footage so we can see just how they work themselves through. Actually, a nice little stick shift there as well. Obviously, most drivers will still continue to use the regular paddles that you'd get on a sim racing rig, but good to see the stick shift still being into play. Of course, we moved to the Xfinity car for this season. We had the next gen last year, then we used the Xfinity in the Finland versus Sweden race, and it went down so well that it was voted in by the drivers to be used. 4 sets of tyres is going to be an interesting one. Of course, a bit of a shorter race, but as the pace truck comes in, the Lagerkungen 300 is going to get underway. Jesper Eriksson and Aronson are on the front row as we work our way into turn 1 to start 300 laps around this very interesting stadium circuit. Savicki already making his way up into third.
Yeah, and Ericsson holding on to the lead early on, so Aronson has to slot into that second place, but it is Dominik Savicki, as you say, in that third place now, having gotten immediately up into that position. A clean start relatively for everybody, but still side by side through the pack, and already a lot of field spread down at the back of the field. They're already over 6 seconds off the lead. That's nearly half a lap.
Yeah, the laps are very short, about 15 seconds. I've already seen someone drop down low. That is Aronson. He's had some issues. He's come down into the pit lane already, and going a laps down is going to be potentially an important factor when we get further back here in towards the race. So Jesper Eriksson is leading the way from Savicki, and we'll have to see where Aronson comes out and what exactly that reason was for.
Yeah, it must have been a start infringement, because he was not the pole sitter, and you can't normally, on ovals anyway, cross the line before the pole sitter does at the start of the race. So we'll have to get a replay to find out what happened there exactly. However, I reckon that was Alexander Aronson crossing the line before Eriksson off of the very beginning of this race and getting a penalty for it. We have our first caution of the day, though, and it's Dan Paples, I think, who's gone around.
Yeah, it's a shame, because he was doing fairly decently up towards the front there. And this is looking a bit better from Sim Race Sweden. So they've got 2 cars up there inside your top 3 of Dan Holmer in the 79, just rounding that one out. So Aronson will have to go, of course, to the back of the line. And I mean, how many cautions are we going to see, Ewan? It's going to be a game where we have to, a game on track where we have to see the drivers really sort of take everything with a pinch of salt and just wait until those last maybe 20, 30 laps to work out really how this race is going to go.
Yeah, we are. It's going to be quite a while, I would say, until we really have an idea as to who's going to win, as we try and figure out here who's quite at fault for this caution. Dan Paples dropped down a few positions. I'm not sure he's the root cause of it, though. Trying to look down the field to see if anybody's damaged at the moment. Don't really see anybody. I mean, Aronson's the only one off the lead lap at the moment, so maybe it was just an innocent spin for somebody, but I can't really see damage on anybody, even Dan Paples.
Yeah, I wonder for, well, not just Aronson, but everyone else as we go later in the race. It seems like Moten's coming down pit road. How many drivers are we going to have on the lead lap at the end, and how important is that going to be at one of the final cautions regarding who is actually going to be able to go for this win? Because you might be up inside like the top 10, top 12, but if you're a lap or 2 down, then you're never going to win the race anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it is a lot about staying on the lead lap, and a lot of that will be about staying out of the pit lane under green. We're expecting these cars to be able to go 150 laps under green, which in theory means only 1 stop required, but we're going to see at least 1 stop, I would say, from everybody today. And we're going to see when we get to that 150 lap mark, people coming in to maybe try and go to the very end. I'm not sure whether that's really going to be the call, or whether that we will see late stops. Again, it depends how many stay on the lead lap, but staying out of trouble, staying out the pit lane under green is the real key around here.
Oh yeah, it really is. And just looking up and down the field already, there are some, some decent movers making their way around the track. Of course, we've got her in the 34 machine making up some places. Let's see a replay though. Actually, what we're going to see. So this is the 329. That's Purple's on the inside. Is there going to be contact with the 34 machine that we were just talking about? Lagerkungen, no, he loses it himself. Just spins around. He actually saves it, but he obviously went sideways enough that the game brought up caution.
Yeah, that's quite a rare one. You don't always see that these days with a spin like that. You don't often see cautions being brought out for that, but we've got one, and so it's our second of the season, incidentally. We had one very early on. I think it was after 3 laps in the first race, wasn't it? We went 4 laps this time, so we went a little bit further, I suppose, but after that we didn't get a single other caution. 103 laps to the end of the race, over 330 kilometres, and we made it all the way home at Fontana. I can't see that being the case here with 290 still to go.
Oh no, we had about 9 cautions last year, and I highly doubt we're going to be able to do it, especially as we're expecting the pace drop off of the tyres if we do get a long green stint to be about 2 seconds. Yes, Eracingligan gets us underway. See, Lagerkungen 300 gets underway once more. Caution came out, but we go back to green flag racing. It was a pretty clean start from the front 2 drivers. Savicki keeps on to that second place, but in behind, this is where the moves are going to come. The 27's trying to make some moves around the outside. The 112 as well of Fredriksson.
Very close there to a spin in its entirety for Helm. He held on well though, round the outside here through a couple of the corners for Forsland as he tries to make his way through on Daniel Holmer for what is 4th position. These two were together from the very start, really. When the green flag dropped, they got together, and now they're battling again on this restart. Good run on the exit there from Nyholm as he gets down the inside of Homer now as well. There's going to be so many of these battles appearing and disappearing so quickly, because as I say, the field spread is huge around this circuit. They get stretched out so easily that within 2 laps that they're covering half the circuit already.
They really are. Look at the different lines being used as well. Some drivers do like keeping it a little bit lower, but a couple of drivers also thinking that high line is going to work. And of course, it depends how you want to race as the caution comes out once more. Second one of the day on lap 15 of 300. The 101 slightly off the track there, and trying to see if any of the drivers exactly are going up and down. Wildeberg, he did lose a space there as well, as obviously we'll try and work out what brought out this second caution of the day. It looks pretty clean up towards the front though, but when you're further down the back, you really need to be trying to make some moves, because you don't really want to go a lap down or really get involved in any of those shenanigans. Yeah,
you won't be surprised to learn that that's our shortest green flag run so far this season in terms of distance covered anyway, with just 4 laps on the clock, and that's 2 4-lap runs so far in this race. Not very many at all, so that's very much setting the tone for this race so far, and it's so early on in the race as well that it's a little bit disappointing to see, because nobody's going to pick from it either really up the front of the field. This is what's happened. It's Sebastian Tidmo getting spun up into the wall, and multiple drivers have got into contact as a result of that.
Yeah, some of the and there's further contact as everyone tries to slow down. So some of the Sim Race Sweden Academy drivers involved in that one. And yeah, I mean, Tidemo, he just some contact on the rear right of the car, and you always see that. It's just all about where the pressure and the weight distribution is going, and he just got sent around, unfortunately. So that is not the way that he would have wanted. Did I just see as well, I think that's Aroldsson going past, a few drivers going past, I think. So I think Aroldsson is going to be back on the lead lap, but obviously way down the back of the field. But that is a huge jump, taking out multiple drivers. We got Uven in the pit lane, Dahlstrom, Hogman, Oscar Motin has already been in the pit lane as well. So 4 or 5 drivers already having issues. Yeah, I thought Aroldsson would be getting his lap back, but he's still off the lead lap as far as I can tell at the moment. So I don't really know what's going on there, but there will be some long stops here. Oscar Motin is already having a pretty long stop. Tidmo will for sure be down there for a while as well, trying to see the other drivers who were caught up in that and who actually made contact on the way through, as you commented at the time. Mikael Hagström seems to be one of those who's now dropped a lap down. So has Tony Uvenen, who came in there 30 seconds at least in the box now for him. Christopher Dahlstrand as well into the pit lane. So some very long stops here for some drivers who made contact on the way past of that incident. Yeah, and it looks like Eracingligan actually just went past the field there, so he, I believe now, is back on the lead lap finally, after obviously having to physically do the lap. So he should be okay with that, but not ideal. I think it was potentially jump start, as we saw at the start of the field. The 84 with no hood on that machine, and he needs to be sorting that one out. That's Tony Uvinen, as he's still in the pit road. He's going to be there for a little while, but it seems like he's going to go out. There's not enough tape in the world to cover up that hood, so he's just going to have to keep going like that.
Yes, well, you don't see it very often, that anymore, but there you go. That's what it's going to require, unfortunately, and that's not going to be the last car either that we see today with lots of damage on the front. That's absolutely for sure. So that's what you always see at Bristol. The car's absolutely wrecked at a point, and so that's only the first sighting really we've got of it, but we've got a long way to go yet, and there'll be plenty more instances of that, I'm sure.
Absolutely, as the lights on the pace track go out, they line up side by side. Look at all of the Sim Race Sweden cars there on that inside row as well. They're stacking themselves up towards the front. There's one of the Academy drivers on the outside as well with Forslund, and it's the 37 who's going to be getting us underway from that pole position. Another great restart. Savicki is going to follow in behind in that second place, and as we come through for the next restart, let's see how many laps we go green this time.
Yep, exactly. We only had 4 laps in the green flag running so far in both of the 2 runs. This is the 3rd attempt now after some more caution laps, so we hopefully will get a little bit further than just 4 laps, which is effectively just 1 minute of racing, by the way, and unfortunately we will not. Only 1 lap this time under green before a caution again.
Yeah, of course, didn't quite see who that was that brought it out. Did see a couple of drivers swapping. Maybe that might have just been because of when they were slowing down, speeding back up. Let's get this. So it is Åkesson in the 086. Very similar to that previous caution as well. Just contact on the right rear of the cars at the 14 machine, getting involved with that one, unfortunately. And that is Thomas Kinnell who made the contact. And yeah, obviously you spend all the time turning left, and as soon as you get some pressure on the right side of the car, especially the back, just goes spinning up into the wall.
Exactly. So that's unfortunately our 3rd caution of the day already with inside 24 laps. And we did speak to Linus Broström about this at the start. Just how many cautions are we going to get? Did he say last time there was something like 9? 9 would be about 1 every 30 laps or so, just over 30 laps. We've not even got through 30 laps yet, and we've had 3. So surely at a point, and I do always find this with races that are expected to have a lot of cautions like Bristol and Martinsville and other ovals like that, is that generally everybody goes out with lots of ambition thinking this will be fine, you know, we'll be okay. In the end, it's not fine. They figure that out very quickly, though, and everyone starts to take it a little bit easier after the first few come in and they realise we're quite literally going to be stuck here all day if we continue like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just checking the results from last year, it was 9 cautions that we had, and it was a 250 lap race. So we've got 50 extra laps to do, and there was it was 94 led laps. Jesper Eriksson, of course, leading the way now. He led 94 of 250. We had Jonas Gunnarsson as well, of course, not racing this year. He led 99 laps. Alex Arvidsson leading 50. There was really the 3 guys up to the front that day. So potentially that is an omen for Ericsson to try and get a back-to-back win at the same circuit. But and also there was 4 penalties at the previous race of 3 positions each. So definitely a few drivers getting involved in some contacts last time.
There certainly were, and it's interesting to see that we've had so much already in this race. Just 25, 26 laps in. So far, only 9 of those laps ran under green. Round here, the cautions seem to be of 6 laps in length, and so I think the lights are going to go off on top of the pace car this time round, and everyone will go round and get onto the front straight again and go racing again. But already we're down to 27 on the lead lap. Don't forget, if you're staying 1 lap down or only a few laps down, then you can earn them back with so many cautions, and that means that we've got Tony Uvinen already back on the lead lap, even after a 1 minute 11 pit stop under the previous caution.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, looking at last year as well, we had 8 drivers on the lead lap by the end of the 250 laps. Let's see what we can do. We still have 6 drivers down pit road as well as they try to get some damage repairs, but the 37 and the 6 are going to join each other on the front row as they will go racing once more. It's been a great start by the 37 every time so far. It really is actually quite advantage where the restart zone is here. Can really get a jump on the following drivers. Of course, you got her and unfortunately in the second row. They need to try and stay up. The 27 on the outside is about a car length back, just trying to get a little bit of a run. But once again, the 37 gets the Lagerkungen 300 underway once more, and they pull away very nicely. Nieholm actually down the inside there, trying to hold on to that 4th position. Forslund all the way around the outside will have that momentum down the back straight and is going to try and keep that in towards turn 3 and 4.
Oh, it's very close on the way through at 3 and 4 that time round, and over the line again. They get single file mostly inside the top 5. Side by side as round the outside goes Helm, and a good move up to 7th place. That allows Fredriksson to just tuck in, then Skoglund, and then the battle for 10th place. Dan Peoples right up on the outside and getting some joy up there actually.
Yeah, it seems to actually be the line is that high line. You get so much more momentum, so much more drive down the straightaways, but of course they're so short. You get into the next corner straight away, so you have to really work for this. For multiple laps is going to be is that's the 10 of Holmbaum also trying to make his way around the outside the 18. All the 18 comes to the inside, maybe just sliding the rear a little bit too much as the 10 will hold on to that position, but he did get held up a little bit and he loses all his momentum.
He's going down the field. He was second, I think, at best, but now he's dropped down. He's not spun or anything, but he has lost 3 places in one go there. Forslund and Nieholm have all got through there, and so Sawicki down to 5th position as, by the way, we cross over onto lap 32. If we get to the end of this one, we'll have our longest green flag run of the race so far, and we do. We get to 5 laps for the first time.
I think the drivers will settle into the race as it looks like night will fall and the track conditions will get cooler and cooler as the 10 just wiggles to the inside there to come across the nose of the 18. Should be able to hold on to that one. We've got Rob Eriksson in 35 now, trying to work their way through. It really does seem the drivers want to cross over the lines. They go high, they go low to try and get that run, get that momentum down the inside in towards the next corner. It's a very difficult one though, because look how fast these corners are around here. It's not like you're slamming on the brakes. Oh, is that to the 35 up into the wall? Can he keep it? Yes, he can. As it looks like
no,
contact though, as the Holmbaum's gone up into the wall, contact with the 18.
And they car backwards in the field. Holmbaum now brings out the caution after 34 laps, and so it's the longest green flag run of the race so far, but it comes to an end eventually, and steady. Oh, there come the leaders. Oh, shoot, going down a very small gap indeed. Eriksson had to avoid as well. That was all very awkward, but they get back into the correct order again. It has, though, of course, cost the lead lap for those involved in that incident, which has brought out our 4th caution.
Yeah, more than that, that's going to be some big contacts. That was the 18 of Erik Lundberg, who's down pit road now. The 10, I'm sure, will follow suit. Yes, the 18 just tried to go to that sort of mid-line to go around the outside, but just caught the rear right of that machine, and the 10 goes around. Yeah,
exactly. So, I'm not sure whether Lundberg will find himself the one in trouble for that, but let's look at Sue, who was a second at the time, seemingly running around fine, and then all of a sudden, car pops in the middle of the road and very nearly went straight into the side of it.
Yeah, fortunately, obviously caution was out by that point, so his position is secured as such in terms of the line, because if that was still green, then maybe a few drivers would have centered down the inside. But it's a bit of change at the front. So as you were mentioning, Ewan, on that run, Sawicki's he's dropped down a few positions. He's the red car at the very top of the screen there, just not able to hold on to that position. Holmer's dropped back. He was up towards a P2 or P3, I should say, at one point. So we are seeing moves up towards the front. They can do them cleanly.
Exactly. And that's what Bristol's all about, I think, staying out of trouble and making sure that you're not involved in any of these problems. And just by doing that and not even doing anything yourself really proactively, you will just ghost up the order. Look at the amount of people in the pit lane, though, down at the bottom of your standings. We've got now 26 on the lead lap because Holmbaum and Lundberg are both damaged and in the pit lane. No fast repair, of course, and so it means that you do have to bear the consequences of any contact made. And even if you started last and just stayed last on the lead lap, you would have made up at 10 places by now.
Crikey. I guess that just shows you how staying clean and calm is pretty effective around here, but it's very difficult to do that, of course. There's just so much going on. There's so many cars in such a small place, and then the corners come at you so fast. I think it's quite an easy track to get sort of overly hyped up, get ahead of yourselves, and then you're not quite ready for the next corner.
Yeah, I think so. The corners, as you mentioned earlier, come at you so fast that you are surprised almost by the relentlessness of it. And don't forget the proximity of everyone else as well. I mean, we talked about it before, the fact that, or I was talking about the fact I couldn't do the maths of whatever, 35 divided by 858 metres, which this circuit is in length. I don't know how many metres that gives each car and each driver, but it's not very many, I know that much. And we're seeing the downsides of that is that there's no space to move, and it's very, very difficult to do anything when everyone's so close and everyone's so ambitious at the start of the race, especially.
Absolutely. So, I mean, a bit of quick maths there. Somewhere around 4 car lengths or so they'll have over the course of the whole lap. But with everyone pushing in, it's certainly going to change things around. So we've had some stoppers there. So the 37 actually jumped down pit road. So her gets underway. The 38 gets a bump from behind from Saviki. As the 27 on the inside line is sleeping. So interesting to see some pit stop strategies already coming in towards this. They do have 4 sets of tyres. So out to the front, the 34 goes, and 58 following behind.
Yeah, I think Ericsson has disconnected as far as I can see, or might be back again. But Jesper Ericsson, that is. But as far as my timing screen goes, he's disconnected. And that means that there was a massive hole left where he was previously in the train. And that's really, unfortunately, taken away a great opportunity for him to take a race win here, because he was clearly one of the fastest drivers in the field. Battle for third place between Sawicki and Forsland settled just about at the end of lap 43. The number 6 making its way back into the top 3.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not the first time Ericsson's had a disconnection in this series over the last couple of years. He's been very fast and winning loads of races, but the odd one, unfortunately, has had this problem. Let's see if he can get back in, actually, if he can do something and get towards the end of this race. But that's a big shame for him and also his team, Simrace Sweden. But they got a couple of their drivers going at it. We've got the 27 and the 79. Of course, they got their teammate of Fredriksson, who are just on board with as well, as they are in that little trio chasing down the top 3, who are starting to break away by a few car lengths.
They are, but it's a very small gap, and you're not going to see that those kind of gaps very often so far in this race, that's for sure. We've seen very small margins as we're on lap 6 of this run, and it comes to an end after only completing 5 laps. A bit of a shame, and this time round it's at the back again. Schott, I think, is one of those who has gotten involved. Maybe the likes of Jonas Skoglund as well, seemingly dropping down the field.
So I've just been doing a bit of maths. It looks like we might get 25 cautions if we go at this rate. I don't know what the record is, but let's have a look actually how this one brought out. So we got Brewster in the 71 on the outside. There's actually just in behind the 83 getting spun, and that's very unfortunate indeed, because once again we see that contact on the right rear you, and especially coming on the exit of turn 2, I believe that was Jonas Skoglund in the 83. They just seem to pinch towards each other coming down that back straight.
Yeah, it looked to me as if he just came across there, to be honest with you, and caused that an end to the 5th run of the race so far. So more incidents that time around, but no more really dropping off the lead lap. I wonder if Michael Hagström will maybe get back onto the lead lap as a result of this. The only current driver who is 1 lap down in the field. I'm not entirely sure what the rules are around that, but yeah, another one brought in. There we go. Who's that going past? I don't know at the moment, but it was indeed Hagström. So we will get him back on the lead lap again. Yeah, I'm not surprised, to be honest. That's an average of a caution every 5 laps as far as I can work out right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we get sort of the 5 laps under the pace truck as well, and then we'll go back racing. So of course the situation is, as we've been mentioning earlier, fuel tank will go roughly 150 laps. So in theory you can do a 1-stop. However, with all these cautions and how things work out, maybe we're able to go longer, maybe we're able to not, or maybe it's a situation where at some points, because of the tyre wear, you're going to need to pit. They do have 4 sets of tyres, so they've got plenty of opportunity for tyres here in terms of the fuel tanks as well. So there's actually quite a lot of things that you can do, Ewan, but at the end of the day, you want to stay on the lead lap. So you can't just pit, pit and then go multiple laps down, especially if it's under green, then you're really going to be struggling.
Yeah, exactly. But this is where the drivers at the back of the field actually have an advantage, because at this stage in the race, I mean, maybe it's still a bit early for pit stop schedule, but we've got 3 sets of tyres to go on to. Now, again, splitting the rate into quarters maybe, you can pit in about 25 laps at the back of the field, not really lose out on any track position and get the benefit from the tyres, whereas those at the front will lose a lot of track position if they decide to take on some new tyres. So they're at a real disadvantage as far as that goes, and that really sets them back, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see just how long those guys leave it. If I was at the front of the field right now, I'd be looking at lap 125, thinking I'm going to get to the stage points, make sure I'm in the top 10, get some of them, then come into the pit lane for the first time after that, then come in at some point in the next 100 laps after that to go to the end of the race. I wouldn't leave pit stops too late unless there are really few drivers still on the lead lap by the end.
And hopefully we get to a situation where we have new drivers and new tyres at the back of the field coming through with that 1.5, 2 seconds lap pace advantage. That would be quite something to see some drivers making up some positions. But we get the 34 who's going to take us underway once again. And actually it was Nihal on that outside row. He's got a good jump. Can he keep Savicki down the inside? Not quite, as we work our way through turns 1 and 2. Looks like the green car is going to be able to hold on to that one. They've actually pulled away just a little bit, but Savicki still trying to hold his nose down the inside, trying to make him work for it, but he's going to have to keep inside 3rd position just now.
Yeah, and you commented on it in the 5th run of this race. This is now the 6th. The front 3 did get a few car laps over the rest, and they're getting it again. Oh, Dan Peoples, not for the first time tonight, getting really loose through 1 and 2, I think that was, and he will lose place. He'll lose his top 10 just about over the line there as a result of the sliding around. And if you've got that loose of a race car already, then you'll be hoping that the conditions continue to cool down in the night here, and maybe you can adjust a little bit in the pit stops. However, it's going to be very, very tricky to do anything about that if you're already struggling to keep the rear end of your car under control.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough situation for the drivers as well to just keep going stop, start, because you have to switch your brain on, and all of a sudden you're going 130, 140 miles an hour once again. Very difficult situation for them. But that is what they're here to do, and they are fighting for the championship. It's just the 2nd round of the season. Remember, the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan, they haven't quite got up to speed with this series just yet, as we see his onboard camera been working his way through and trying to make himself back inside the top 10.
Yep, and look at this, it's so busy around the circuit at the moment. Dan Peoples just trying to make his way up into the top 10. Holmer very nearly allowing him to, as he just dropped out very briefly because of technical problems, but he's back again now. And fortunately, Jesper Eriksson's technical problems are the only ones we've seen so far. He's now 18 laps down and so far showing no signs of re-emerging.
Yeah, it's a big shame. Big shame for Jesper Eriksson, a driver who dominated the regular season last year, but then wasn't able to clinch the championship with the playoff system that we have. And of course, he was able to win the Formula 4 road course series as well, that we will have starting up next week. This time in the IndyCar. It's going to be a nice year of racing for Bohlin Svenska E-Racing, and let's see, of course, how that one goes. But yeah, for Eriksson regarding this series, he started out strong. It's very strong last time out, but with the loss of the points this time around, he's going to have to obviously do some making up and then try and do that with the upcoming races.
Say it quietly, but this is now the longest green flag run of the race so far, at 8 laps now, so that's good news. But we're going well so far, looking from the back of Nicholas Helm at the battle for 8th place, as Broström tries to hang on here from Hagman in the number 12, just looking around the outside. Quite interesting that Broström has found his way up here, to be honest. Qualified down in 18th position, did Linus, and now inside the top 10, looking fairly comfortable.
Yeah, he's definitely a bit of a long-run merchant, if that is a polite thing to say. He's definitely one of those drivers who thinks later on into the race. He's not always about necessarily qualifying. He's not necessarily about making places up on the first 10 laps of the race. But as the race progresses, he's generally a bit better on the tyres, a bit better on the fuel. He likes staying out, making sure he gets those playoff points, and then having fresher tyres at the end is generally his kind of strategy. Not many drivers can do that, though, because they, I guess, don't have the patience to be able to do so. As Marcus Hogman looks like he's on the outside there as we work our way through turns 3 and 4. Can he complete the move in 1 and 2? Looks like he can. So the 12 has got a lot of speed at the moment. He's working his way up too.
He is the biggest mover in this race so far. 24 positions gained as he qualified down in 32nd. He must have had a bad qualifying session, because he's showing speed right now that shows him well up the field for Hagman. So he's flies past Brojem, who now has got Ericsson to worry about. Not Jesper Ericsson, but Robert Ericsson in 10th position. But yeah, Hagman is the biggest mover forward and continues to do so. By the way, the conveyor belt is alive and well. We've got, for the first time, proper lap traffic as the race leader having to pick their way through lap traffic for the very first time. And there's not a meter on this circuit now that's not being used up by some battle somewhere.
And this is a difficult situation. And so here he is in the 34. Is that Nyholm? No, it's just in the mirror on that left-hand side. Not quite being able to get up. But this is difficult, because you can start being just hindered a little bit and then not able to do your full lap speed, and therefore someone will jump up the inside of you. And very difficult to judge these gaps as well, because remember, they're having a battle themselves and they're not just going to jump out your way.
No, certainly not. There goes Sue down the inside and through into the 3 and 4. Nyholm and Sawicki will try and follow through, but this is where you need a car that's good on the bottom and the top as well. We know that multiple lines are going to be used tonight once again, as we saw a couple of weeks ago, but this means that you've got to have a car comfortable on both, because the laps cars may not be, and so you need the manoeuvrability to get around them, whichever line they decide to choose.
Yeah, this is quite a difficult situation. Look at the concentration he's going to have with all those drivers in his mirrors in behind, coming for those positions. As Sawicki looking down the inside, but not enough. It does seem like that mid to high line is better for making the overtakes, as they're trying to work their way through cars jumping down the inside. I think that's Bohlin trying to make his way past the 6. Not enough for him.
And people looking on the apron as well. Sawicki was also right down on the very, very inside, trying to make a move work there into... Now, what a great situation we've got. What a close race we've got. And you can see the battle scars already for Sawicki on the rear left there. He's a little bit crumpled in. Here goes Forsland.
He certainly does. Is there enough space for the 6? No, the 6 is actually slightly blocked by the 10 on the outside. This could get tricky as we come down in towards 3 and 4. Big send up the inside from the 27, and the 6 there not being helped by the traffic, but they squeeze themselves up as we come down the front straightaway, but the 27 completes the move.
Well, the 10 was just running its own race there, really, and couldn't really get out the way. Sawicki not out. This race, and not intentionally of course, but it's just going to get into his way. Nyholm seemingly struggling a little bit. Sawicki still trying to make this work on the outside, still not quite able to, and now recovers that 3rd place again.
Certainly does, as this top 4 are all within a car length of each other. Lap 78 of 300 we go. The 6 sends it in towards the corner. Can he keep it on that outside line? The 58 is going to have to hug this inside, but look at the run from the 6. He might have the speed to get the 34 for the race lead very shortly. It looks like he's got the better tyres at this point. He's got up into 2nd place. Can he then dive on the inside to get this lead? I think he has kept his tyres a little bit better than the 34, as Hair on the outside is going to have to hold on.
He's dicing with traffic here, Sawicki from the outside. He went round Nyholm and Forsland, and now he's gone to the inside for Shu, although he's finding this a little bit more difficult. He goes deep into 1 and 2 there, door to door through the corner. That was extremely close, but Sawicki surely now is going to have the place. He slides in front of the 34 and he gets through, and Nyholm tries to take advantage.
Yeah, Nieholm actually dropped down, so maybe in contact, or maybe just lost some momentum, but he's dropping all the way down. That is going to be P9 if he can hold on from Pebbles, which I think he should be able to do, but definitely a elbows out fight we're seeing at the front here. And I think what we're starting to see is the tyre wear starting to come in. The drivers who are holding onto their tyres just have that little bit more grip, able to carry a bit more speed through the corners, and the differential of that is what's causing these battles. As Savicki already pulling away, and Where up the outside is going to be losing some places. He's got the two SimRace Sweden cars. First it'll be Homer trying to get up into second place.
This is fantastic racing now. Nieholm, as we said earlier, has spun to the inside. Oh, slight contact with Jackie Shu there in the 34. Nothing terrible happens to Nieholm, I suppose, in the end, but loses out on a whole host of places, now down in 10th place.
Yeah, that is some tough racing out there. No one is giving an inch, but there aren't many inches to give, even if they wanted to, around this very tight half-mile circuit as we continue on to lap 85. Remember, the stage is lap 125, and if we stay green, that will come up very quickly indeed with 15-second laps we have here. As in the back was after the 55, just sliding up Helm in towards the wall. They've got to be careful as the tyre wear starts to kick in.
I've got to be very careful. Oh, contact! Forsland, has he saved it? Yes! Well, that could have been a big pile-up on the front straight there, but Forsland saves the car, and he remains in 5th position ahead of Helm, who somehow couldn't take advantage of that. He switches back to the inside then as they go to the front straight, and again there's contact. Forsland again slides, but Helm this time on the inside gets through. They both get caught up with one another, and Linus Prostrom goes round the outside.
Continuing to make some positions, and Marcus Hogman is also having a good start to this race. He's there, but it's the 71 who is making moves for Morbid Bright Esports, and as he comes up towards your previous race leader, is he the one who's going to be coming towards the front to get those extra stage points? 10 for the win, all the way down to 1 point for 10th place. Let's see who's going to do that in a few laps time, but in the wall the 34 goes, the 55 gets caught up, and now some of the SimRace Sweden Academy cars on the outside.
Yeah, previous race leader, Shu in the wall. Oh, big slide from Helm, and through goes Forsland. Helm is going to have to hold on here to the car on the inside. He just about has, but you can tell that this is a long green flag run because people are starting to lose the tyres from underneath them.
Oh, they certainly are. It may be getting dark out with the floodlights, but it is still not cool enough on the track for some of these tyres. 34 is really struggling, as that's a huge run around the outside. Pebbles, who's outside the top 10 at 1 point, he's going to be up inside 5th place as the 34 continues to drop down. Nieholm gets past him as well. This is not looking good because we still have to go quite a few laps before you have a realistic chance of a pit stop.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of stops if there's at the next caution, no matter when it comes. If it's now or in another 50 laps or so, there will be lots of stops. But as I said earlier on, you have to stay out of the pit lane under green flag conditions. And so Shu has very much made his bed here, and he's got to have to lie in it now for the next few laps. Forsland as well has sort of got stuck up on the inside, and he's dropped backwards and backwards and backwards because of maybe his tyre life as well. So this is proving to be pretty tricky now. Magnus Hagman as well has not made the progress he will have wanted in the last few laps. I reckon he probably went out a bit too hard on his tyres too, while he was making up 24 places at best.
Oh, this is getting tricky. Look at the cars wiggling around, and that is not by choice. They are definitely starting to struggle a little bit. We go on board with Fredriksson, who's currently in P3. He's got teammate Holmer ahead. They're both trying to chase down the 6, who is a good few car lengths up ahead, actually, pulling away. He's looking really good longer and later into this stint as we're closing in very quickly on lap 100 here at Bristol, and it is definitely getting to that point of the stint where the drivers are struggling, going right up to the wall. Does he have the tyres to go down the inside of his teammate? Yes, he potentially just about does, but he's not going to dive it on his teammate, you'd expect.
Sawicki, by the way, is embedded in that traffic just up ahead here. That's the battle for 17th position, headed by Tony Uvernen, Thomas Kinnell, Peter Helmbro, and Patrick Pfeiffer, and Jonas Skoglund are all caught up in it, as well as one or two other cars who are multiple laps down already. Don't forget that most people are still in this race. There's still 32 out of 35 on the racetrack right now, but very few still on the lead lap.
Crikey, Linus Broström round the outside of the two SimRace Sweden cars who are already having a bit of door banging themselves, and look how much time that they've lost from that. Broström up into second place. He's chasing down the 6. He's trying to get this race lead, as we see Fredriksson on the inside still can't get past his teammate. Surely some team orders need to come in there, as the 71 is coming back strong. We're on lap 100. He was starting down towards the back of the field, and as we get to the end of it, he might just be leading.
Oh, look at this. You mentioned he was strong in long runs, and he's showing that again here. We passed through 100 laps at Bristol, and he's going for the lead here. On the inside, on the outside, he seems to be strong everywhere, and Linus Brostrom's going to be in the lead. I think Sawicki just took a breather for a few moments there over the last 10 laps or so, knowing that he had a few car lengths over the rest of the field. He could stick behind the traffic for a little while, just as he saved tyres, just as he cooled off. But nobody saved tyres, look by the looks of things, better than Linus Brostrom in these first 102 laps.
Yeah, Morby Bright Esports to the front, and he has just 23 laps to hold on if he is going to get this stage win. Lap 125, and it's been the longest run of the race so far with the amount of cautions that we've had. Everyone hasn't really had time to get in a rhythm, but maybe this is the time. Now Sawicki, he's the one struggling with his tyres. The 71 is going, and now the 112 is going to be potentially getting past him. Look how much he's sliding up the racetrack. You do see, of course, the high line helping, but he's also going down low on the entry and then just using the banking to help slow himself down.
This is quite phenomenal. Look how much more fun it is when there's proper green flag racing and proper evolution of the tyre wear for everybody, and people's cars coming to them and going away from them. Absolutely fascinating stuff for the last 50 laps or so, and long may it continue. Through on a little bit more lap traffic for Sawicki, dives down the inside of another driver. There's just so many people on so many different laps, on so many different pace strategies. It's well, a bit of a mess to try and figure out even what's happening at the moment, but it's very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it gets out of hand very quickly, as we've seen Ho now in 10th place. So Hogman's got past him, actually maybe not, because they're continuing their battle in the 34 and the 12. So it's the blue machine there. That is Marcus Hogman. The black machine is the 34 going ahead and just holding on to that position. But he's now 8 seconds off. He's half a lap behind. Remember, the 34 was leading. He's the most leading driver so far in this race, but now he's struggling to keep inside the top 10.
Yeah, he is, and this is a pretty damning indictment of what the first part of the race must have been like for him. So many restarts at the front of the field, so many challenges for the race lead earlier, that now he's closer to being lapped than he is to taking the race lead itself. That's how desperate the situation is now, for sure. Look at this battle, by the way. This is in the midfield, further back from about 9th place on backwards. Hakan Shot and everybody else behind is creating a huge long train for Linus Brostrom, who's very nearly caught up to the back of it.
Yeah, this is quite something, the differentials that we're starting to see now, and those who held on to the tyres are going to be enjoying this one. Brewster now leads by over a second. That's the biggest leading margin we've had. Norgren comes into the pit lane just a bit too shy of the stage, unfortunately for him, although we do stay green, as you I'm sure know by now in this series, so no caution will come out. We will keep going as there's a car on the wall. This might be a caution as the 58 is going to get caught up, and I think Forsund gets the contact there. That is really unfortunate. More drivers are involved, and we are going to be having a short green flag run after that to the stage. This is going to be interesting. There's Paples. Look at him with the absolute anguish on his face. He can't believe what's just happened.
No, he can't. It's the biggest green flag run of the race so far, and it's come to an end, heartbreakingly so for a lot of the drivers as well. We've only got now 15 on the lead lap after all of that, by the way. 60 laps, the green flag run, by far the longest we've had so far today. And look at that disappointment, unmitigated disappointment for Dan Paples, who is super disappointed. Not necessarily angry, but just really disappointed with how that's ended. It looks like everybody now is taking a trip to pit lane before this dash for the stage points.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Even if 10 drivers, 15 drivers stayed out with the older tyres, they just won't have enough in the locker to hold on. The new tyres behind them will be sliding past. So this is definitely the right call for these drivers. And of course we have like the double pit lane around here, so definitely need to remember where your box is as they will come down the pit lane, and they will have the fresh tyres for a short sprint to lap 125, where 10 very important stage points will be given out, because by the time we get to the end of the season, those will add up very quickly to those who do well. As you say, you and basically everyone down pit road.
Yeah, I said earlier on that I would stay out until the stage break, but actually, the way the race situation has turned out, it wouldn't be a very good idea to do that. Peter Helmbro, by the way, has stayed out first time round, come in second time, so I don't know what he's doing, but Magnus Hagemann and Tommy Alto seem to be committed to staying out on the circuit, and fair play to them for doing something different. There won't be very many laps for them to hang on, probably about 2 minutes of racing until the stage points are given out when we go back green.
Yeah, not too much time. So at the front of the line there is the 24, who of course had a bit of a jump start, a bit of a penalty earlier. He has now been in that pit lane for 33 minutes. To demo as well, 37. So don't think they'll be coming out. Let's see how this happened. The 329 made contact with the 83, and that is what sent them up into the wall. It wasn't the most contact. Then the 18 and the 38, huge contact afterwards. So that was a Skoglund who he got into the back of. And then the 18 is Lundberg, and the 38 is Gantz, all getting involved.
Yeah, real shame for Dan Peoples, who unfortunately is involved in his second caution of the race. Brought out the first one, of course, by spinning around and was, I said at the time, quite lucky not to be hit, but that's exactly what happens when you don't get quite as lucky on that occasion. Absolutely slammed into by Erik Lundberg especially, who is already 30 odd laps down and will be maybe another 30 odd laps down after the repairs are taken on to that machine. A real shame for both.
Absolutely. So it looks like we're going to be going back to green, but remember the two on the front row, Hogman and Alto, they haven't stopped. So they've been out there for a long time. 116 laps. We've got fresher tyres for everyone in behind. I'm sure they're going to be gobbled up, but this could be a lead lap for Marcus Hogman, which could be important. There's an extra point for that as well. Terrible run on the outside for Alto. As let's see the grip difference for the 71. He's already up. His car's spinning in the background already. That's Helm. He's going around. Well, that's going to be caution out. Contact for further cars as we come back down to caution speed. And are we going to get another green lap? We might just have enough time for a couple of green laps before we get to the stage.
That was a very... I mean, did we even complete a lap there? Not sure.
A corner?
Yeah, no, not sure we did. Disappointment for Helm, who was running inside the top 10 for a long time during that first part of the race. I do think we will get another lap or maybe two before the stage break, but other than that, it's going to be this pretty much to the end. Let's see how it happened.
So it was Tommy Alto on the outside, then just a little wiggle. So it's the 112 of Fredriksson in the middle. Helm just having that little wiggle on the inside, and that was enough to make the tiniest bit of contact. Then it was the 607. That is Pontus Norgren, who's now down pit road. He was the one trying to slow it down. It's so difficult when you're 10, 15 cars behind the accident. You're coming in flat out, and you can't always see, of course, the yellow flags and hopefully the spotters there, but it's still not the easiest situation.
No, it's absolutely not. And sometimes it doesn't matter what spotter you've got or whatever, it is pretty unavoidable, some of these incidents from time to time. So a shame, and one of the perils of Bristol that we've talked about before. So that's the seventh caution of the race by my count. And I tried to think how many laps we've lost under caution so far today. I think we've lost we are going to have lost about 40 after this one has completed.
Yeah, tough times for the drivers involved in these incidents, because of course we are getting a fair distance into this race now, and you just want to keep going. But unfortunately, a couple of cautions. We had that 60 lap run, but now a couple of cautions in a short space of time. The stage is coming at lap 125, so this is going to be a short and sharp end to that. Marcus Hogman still the only driver really not out, because of course Alto's gone down, and with the bad start he had last time, I assume he's going to do that again and get swamped. But can Hogman hold on to maybe the top 10, just get a couple of points for the playoff, or is everyone going to just slide straight past him on the new tyres?
I think there's going to be so few laps here. Only 3 laps to go when we go back green here. It looks like they're starting to form up and the lights will go off as they go past this time round. I think there's going to be so few laps under green that actually we're going to see Alto even hang on to a couple of points. So I think Haugman's certainly going to hang on to some points, although the difference, I suppose, is that he is on the outside now. Alto very much got eaten alive on the outside before, and if he's not enjoying being up on the outside, then Haugman could lose quite a lot of these points in the final few minutes. But it really depends how keen everybody is to take those stage points away from them. Everybody was pretty keen to race for stage points 2 weeks ago, so I kind of don't see why it would be much different here today.
Yes, it's a fun part of the race. We got a 3-lap shoot to the end of the stage. There will be no caution due to the stage, but there may be a caution due to an accident out on the track. 7 already have come out here at Bristol. The Lagerkungen 300 has been an entertaining one when we get the long green flag periods. Let's hope we go for that once more. Everyone's on fresher tyres except the 12 of Haugman and the 87 of Alto. And as we come around, the pace truck will come in. The 71 will get us underway from the restart zone and is looking good to take this stage win. The 12 sliding, the Savicki there being held up a bit, so the 79 of Holmer should be able to hold on to that one. Look already at the grip advantage as we come through the first couple of corners.
Yeah, but Haugman can slot in now, so he needs to get to the inside or get to just where he's comfortable with, and that seems to be in the middle and getting towards the lower part of the circuit off the corner as well, so he needs to stay there and be comfortable. Alto as well, if he wants to grab a couple of points here. They're a lap and a half away from sealing them.
They certainly are. And remember, lap 125, 10 points within, down to 1 point for 10th place. It looks like it's going to be Linus Brustrom unless Dan Holmer can do something in turns 3 and 4. It's going to be a big push down to the inside. Is he going to try and get that stage win? He is. The 71 though on that midline should have the momentum. And as he comes across, Linus Brustrom gets those extra 10 points. And it looks like Haugman and Alto Haugman definitely was able to hold on. Alto maybe just overtaken to the line and missing out on a point. To Savicki in the red machine down the inside, trying to get past Fredriksson.
So Linus Brostrom scores his first stage points of the season, would you believe it? Didn't pick up any at Fontana and becomes the second driver to win a stage after, guess who, Marcus Haugman, who we were just talking about there under that restart. He really would like a caution though in the near future because he is beginning to be eaten alive on these tyres.
And look how far the top 4 have got away. And remember, this is 2 by 2 in terms of teammates, slightly 3 wide there, coming in the exit of 2. So Brustrom and Savicki, they are teammates, although different in the championship. We've got Morby Bright Esports for Brustrom and just Bright Esports for Savicki. And then we have the 2 Simrace Sweden cars. So it's 2 by 2 at the front here. But look at Dan Holmer, a 2-time race winner last season, and he's romping off at the moment.
He certainly is. And this is... good pass from Savicki to get back through into second position. Holmer flying away, but slightly oh dear, that was close. And we do have someone spun to the inside. Who was that?
I didn't quite see, but it hasn't brought out a caution.
Wang.
Yeah, the car's wiggling a bit. Is that because of damage or is that just because of getting up to speed? I think it might just be getting up to speed, but no caution comes out. Leaders coming around his outside. Needs to be watching out for that one as well to not get too much involved. And interesting that Brustrom's already dropped to the back of this top 4. Is this him playing the long game again? Remember, we saw him slowly but surely work his way up. Is he just letting the fast boys ahead start to push, or over push, I should say. The 85, he does go 90 degrees, a little bit more than that. Doesn't go into the pit lane, but that was not enough to bring out a caution.
No, it wasn't. And pretty similar to the spin that Dan Pepples had to bring up the first caution, to be honest, but we get away with it this time round and we stay green, which is certainly good to see. This is our 8th green flag run, by the way, of the race, and we're not even halfway through the race just yet. We speak to Linus Brostrom beforehand. He said that probably 9 is the limit in terms of making it through the laps without being time limited. We haven't got very much of our time limitation remaining and we're not yet halfway through the race, so it is not looking likely we're going to complete all 300 laps.
That is a fair point because that will come into the potential strategy later on in the race with when you take your tyres, because you could take them a bit earlier knowing that you don't have to go the full distance potentially. But let's see how that one works itself out, of course. So we got a mixture of drivers here, of course, starting to get into some of the laps because there's still the 85 and also the 27 of Forsland. Oh, caution does come out though, lap 136. And as we go under caution, this will be a good time to take some messages from our partners. And Bristol is certainly treating us to its normal set of behaviours as we're on lap 140 of 300. It's the Lagerkungen 300 for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan round number 2, and this is what brought out the caution. It looks like it's the 38 of Gantz getting into the back of the 10. The 013 Marcus Stiller was involved, so the 10 is that's Holmbom. 3-car incident there as we work our way down the back straight. That is what's brought out another caution. I believe up to 8 cautions already. So we're looking, we're looking like we may not get to the full 300 laps tonight due to the lap count. But Ewan, it's certainly been a tough one for the drivers, and it just continues on.
It certainly does. That's not the first time that Holmbom, unfortunately, has been involved in incidents. He was on the inside of Lundberg earlier on and brought out the 4th caution of the race after that incident, and that was very early on in the race, so over 100 laps ago. Here we go, though, back to green again.
Yeah, we certainly do. So it is Holmer and Sawicki. They are out at the front as it stands. So Linus Brewstrom in the 71, he pits. He's the first of the pitters there down in 8th place. So the top 7, they all stayed out on this 28-lap run that we've had since those last stops. Out of caution a few times ago. Up to the inside is going to be potentially for Fredriksson as he's trying to work his way up into 2nd place and follow through his teammate. He's already had contact with his teammate. Such is the way that the battling has gone around here. He might have this line though as we work our way down the front straightaway. Big slide from him as he gets past there.
And somebody re-emerging back onto the circuit there off of 3 and 4. Already incidents off of this restart. Don't forget, this is the 9th run of the race so far. As I mentioned earlier, we could only really afford to get away with it at the start of the day. 8 or 9 cautions, and we're not even halfway through this race just yet. So time limitations may well come into this. Only at the moment the top 7 out there on the older tyres, and at the moment the others not able to make much of an impression on that. Going to be very interesting to see, first of all, when that top 7 come in, but also whether the bottom 7 come in again at all.
Now we have a change for the lead. The 112 goes to the front, the 79 down into 2nd place, and is Holmer just starting to struggle. He's had a bit of a slow couple of laps. The 55 goes up the inside of Helm, and he is going to be able to get up into 2nd place. The 79 really slow at the moment. 2 places there for the 55 as Sawicki gets caught up.
Yeah, and that's good driving again from Helm, who somehow has recovered from the spin he had only, what was it, about 20 laps ago, less than, probably, just around the stage break, and made some more contact, of course, to go around, but back into 2nd position again and chasing down Fredriksson for the lead. Here's Sawicki and Holmer side by side over the line, and Sawicki is going to take that position, so Holmer losing 3 places since the restart now.
Yeah, he's not looking too good in terms of his lap time. He's got his teammate of Blomqvist coming up behind. Here's the 71 and also the 87. So Alto's actually got past Brewstrom. Brewstrom's lost a couple of places. So remember, Alto, he stayed out for the playoff points. I think he might have just missed out, unfortunately, P11 at the line. But then with this next caution, he's putting back on the fresher tyres, and he's actually potentially in a better position now. So it's not been the worst strategy in the world. He's fighting up there inside the top 10. There's Marcus Hogman in the blue machine. He's now in P10 after his strategy, similar to Alto as well. So they took a bit of a risk, and they might still be able to get some decent points today.
Yeah, we know, though, that Brewstrom will take it easy earlier on here, and he will come to life later on in the stint. He's already proven he can do it once, and was, of course, the stage winner of this 2nd round of the championship. So we know that he can get stronger as it goes on, but Alto, I think, is going to lead again and lead another lap in this race, I would expect, because of these new tyres, especially depending on if this green flag run goes on for a long time. Who's going to lead the next lap, though? Helm looking for the lead now on Fredriksson into 3 and 4.
And he's on slightly fresher tyres. He's got 6-lap fresher tyres, but Fredriksson is holding on. And the 112 there for Simrace Sweden continues to lead the way. Helm is looking very good, though, in that 55 machine at this point in the race. He's feeling it, and he's coming through. Hogman gets past Alto as well. He's made up a couple of places. We're 3 wide for a moment, sliding from the 3 of them as we come down the front straight. And there's going to be a bit of a loss of position there for Alto. 2 drivers around the outside. Helm does get to the front, though, and he is leading at Bristol.
He is leading again, and that's a very impressive recovery in the space of only 30 laps, from spinning around and going to the back of the lead lap to getting to the front of it and the front of the race in its entirety. By the way, only 14 still on the lead lap of this race. That's what we expected, really, but plenty of drivers one lap down. And I've got to say, amidst oh dear, yep, another caution.
Yeah, loads of drivers involved. I think that was Robert Ericsson in the end coming in. The 101 Hagen shot was involved. Few drivers, unfortunately, as caution comes out again. We have passed half race distance, and we're going to continue to obviously go on here. Was that the 19? But actually didn't quite see that card number. Unfortunately, a few drivers getting caught up, and now they just need to regroup and go once more. What we're going to see regarding pit stops, though, this time around, because you can get to the end on fuel if you do the 300 laps, but then also we're not expecting to do the full 300 laps, so you'll definitely be able to get to the end from here, as it's the 101 slides down the inside of the 84. And then is he going to come up? Yes, he is. The 84 there, that's Uvenen just being collected, and unfortunately drivers slowing down, and Robert Ericsson was involved too.
Yeah, I think that's going to be on shot in the end. May disagree, but I think that is how that's going to be viewed at the end, as we see many pit stops here. Well, a few, I suppose, for the leaders. Shot, unsurprisingly, one of them in. Edwin Forsland, as well as Daniel Blunkvist, Daniel Holmer, and Oscar Fredriksson, the most high profile of those who have made a pit stop here. But that still leaves plenty of them having yet made having made a stop just yet. But there's been so many cautions, there's almost a different lap for everybody in terms of where they've pitted. It's all over the place at the moment. Very difficult to work out quite who's where in terms of tyre life. But on the oldest tyres at the front, so Ricky, Nyholm, and that's it of those guys. Helmer's come in a few laps later than them, but still pretty old tyres. And then after that, you get into the drivers who have put on some newer tyres more recently, like Marcus Hagman in at that third place.
Yes, I mean, I can't work out what really is the best strategy to do, but because there's so many cautions, and they're always at sporadic times, it's hard to plan and work out, because your strategy might be good if we go green to the end from here, but then if we get another caution in 20 laps time, maybe it swaps and someone else who just stopped is better than you. So it's a difficult one. And just for reference at the front, so Hjelm's on 40 laps, Savicki's on 46, and then Hogman is on 21. So big differences up towards the front there. A few other drivers in 21 laps, such as Brewster Malto, Helmbro. So there's some 20 laps different tyres, and then of course we're going to get some guys on 0 laps, such as Holmer, Blomqvist. So it's basically 20 lap blocks in between these sets of drivers. Yeah, which is a bit problematic, really, for us to work out quite what's going on at the moment, as we see the drivers making their way around. Probably another couple of laps yet until they actually make their way around for the end of this caution period, unless we're going to go back to green after 5 laps this time. Oh, we are. So we'll get a slightly shorter run under caution this time round, which is a good thing. Only 5 laps, and it will be Nicholas Helm at the helm in the front of the race. Yes, certainly will be leading some laps. No, not too bad from him. And then of course you've got Soiki, who's been up towards the front for basically the whole race so far. So he's not doing too badly indeed. And we're obviously going to be waiting for the pace truck to come in, and then the Lagerkungen 300 will get underway once more. The 55 on that inside line will get us going. Marcus Hogström up in towards 3rd place as well. He is coming back slowly but surely in this race. Let's see where the pit stoppers can work their way back up, as they are down from 7th position. We work our way through 3 and 4 once more. Nyholm, he's got himself back into this race in that green machine on the outside of the 12, but not enough. No, single file for the 2 leaders then, and that's given them a bit of breathing space actually over those who do have newer tyres than them, as we were talking about earlier on. Alto looking to move forward, one of the new tyre runners on the outside of Broström, again taking it easy, probably doing the right thing really, keeping his tyres back for later on in the race. He was so smart with that in the first part of this race to get that stage win. He's doing it again here. Holmer around the outside, Forsund with those ultra new tyres on, having just come in, making his way around the outside as well. the drivers we sort of forgot about at some points, but they're coming back in this race. Fresh tyres seemingly very, very important in this Xfinity machine that we come to this year. A lot more so than what we saw last year in terms of the drop-off. And oh, there's crash though, and that is a few cars involved. The 58 was involved there. There's Nieholm. Forsen loses his front wing, and unfortunately, yeah, multiple cars getting collected.
And the pace car truck has to weave between them to make its way out of pit lane to end that green flag run. Very short-lived green flag run as it was at just 4 laps. And so we will be back under caution again, and there'll be a number of disappointed drivers again at the way that has all transpired. Hard to tell who's even really where at the moment. They all try and get themselves back onto the circuit again after a very big smash. That's taken another few off the lead lap by my reckoning.
Yeah, it certainly has. We're down to 12 from what I can see. As Nieholm involved in that one. That's a shame for him. He's gone a lap down, and obviously multiple other drivers. So if we continue on that way, there's not going to be too many left by the end of it. And is there going to be, of course, pit stops now for even more people? Although I think, yeah, everyone has really stopped. Let's get a replay of this first. See how this is going to work. So Alto on the inside, Nieholm on the outside. They're just going to have some contact. Alto gets spun up into the wall. Forsen goes into the back. The 71 of Brewstrom got spun around as well. And look at all the cars in the background. Didn't see that initially. The 14, the 013, the 77 Helmbro. Loads of cars there.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be put on Alto, unfortunately, as he just drifted upwards towards the wall, towards Nieholm, and towards danger as they slid back towards the back, slid back onto the circuit and into everybody else as well. Here's the view from Thomas Knapp as he saw it happening in front of him. There's just not a lot you can do to avoid all of that, and a lot of drivers have not been able to slow down in time for that.
Yeah, literally nothing would have helped him in that situation. So unfortunate. And unfortunately, a lot of drivers coming down pit road as well. We've got here Alto, Helmbro, Kinnell, Pfeffer, Nieholm, Skoglund, Schott, Stiller, Ericsson. So many drivers down pit road at this moment in time. We've got 130 laps to go from here, although we do believe we are going to be running out of time. So actually, in some ways, as I was mentioning earlier, drivers pitting now, if they can keep on the lead lap with fresher tyres, I mean, Helm leading the way, he's already on 49 laps, Savicki 55. They could keep on the lead lap with fresher tyres and we have a long green run to the end, they might actually be better off despite being involved in a wreck.
Yeah, I think it's a good strategy at the moment for those on the older tyres right now to keep those back for later on. Just allow that difference between newer tyres and those that are running on tyres at the moment to just grow. And with not many on the lead lap anymore, I mean, maximum 11, but we might even have less than 10 at the end of this pit stop phase. We could really be seeing a situation where you can feasibly come from the back of the race to the front of it on the lead lap anyway. In just one green flag run. So very interesting to see how they play the remainder of this race, because I think that holding tyres back at this stage is a good thing. As the lights go off on top of the pace car, it'll be another 6-lap caution comes to an end. 171 laps will be complete as well at the end of this 10th caution of the race. However, I'll say I don't believe we're going to get to that 300 anymore. I don't really know. I don't think, anyway, we've got that much time remaining on the clock.
No, and looking at last season, I believe the most cautions we had, from what I can see, is Phoenix, where we had 11. So one more, and we'll be tying with that one. So we've got Helm on the inside, the 6 of Suzuki on the outside. They've been in the top 2 for a little while now. And look at the jump from the 55. Great restart from him as everyone gets underway. Lots of Sim Race Sweden cars coming towards the front of this field. They're coming strong in this second part of the race. We get back going once again, and down the inside in the background, it's going to be Fredriksson diving Blomqvist, where it also gets past Uvinen.
Yeah, don't forget those who pitted after the 9th caution of the race have only got 4-lap old tyres at the moment, so in terms of actual racing on the tyres. And so the likes of Jokishu and all the others or those that came in under the previous one like Uvinen will have that little bit of impetus now and that little bit of tyre life over the top three Hagman in the top two, who will be on older tyres. And you can see that with the way that the field's bunching up. Look at Hagman around the outside, but that's because Sawicki is in the way of Holmer at the moment.
Yeah, big differential on the tyres here as they're going to be going side by side through the corners, but the 6 does not have the speed. He's on 61 lap-old tyres. Hogman in behind 36, Holmer 16. Big difference, and the run to the inside for the 12, not enough to get past this time around. Lap 175 clocks off as 200 is closing in on us, and this is a huge opportunity actually in terms of the team championship for Sim Race Sweden. They got 4 cars there inside that top 7. Can they get the run? The first one's going to be the 112 of Fredriksson. Can he get past Hogman? Not quite this time around, but it looks like we're going back under caution.
We are 5 laps under that green flag run. That's the 11th green flag run of the day, and so our 11th caution as well, now brought out after all of that. So as I say, I'm very confident now we're not going to get to the end of the actual allotted laps that we're supposed to, although I think it's probably mathematically possible. We would need a green flag run right to the very end, but we'll wait and see on that front, and wait and see especially for Helm, Sawicki and Hagman's pit stops, because they are still on relatively very old tyres versus those around them.
Pepples, the 329, is that the third, maybe fourth car incident that car has had, unfortunately, going around there, and not the day that he would have wanted, as he was running nicely up inside the top 10, a few cars down pit road, so this is kind of understandable. We've got the 6 there, Svenska, Hogman as well. Interesting actually, because Hogman was slightly better on tyres by 25 laps, but enough for him to say, let's come in, let's get some fresher tyres. And as I was mentioning earlier, if they stay on the lead lap with fresher tyres, this might actually be quite good. But once again, for it to work, we need a long green flag period.
That's slightly strange for Hogman especially, because the last 40 laps have been or sprinkled within those last 40 laps. I think only 24 of those 40 laps have actually been under green. So actually, that's not very much driving on those tyres at all for Hogman, but he's clearly feeling that actually with this race going on so caution heavy, that he would just continue to get eaten alive on restarts by those on newer tyres, and that's what they were trying to avoid. Nicholas Helm clearly still comfortable with it because he's on a 60 lap stint right now, but as I say, those tyres I think were put on after caution number 6, which is I mean, I'm not expecting anyone to remember which one that is. That's the one after the 60 lap green flag run. I think after that he decided, now I'm going to come in, and after that we have seen him out on the circuit, and that's why he's partly anyway why he's in the lead now.
So top left of the screen, we got 30, this is minutes remaining in terms of the time limit. We got 32 minutes and 20 seconds. And according to live timing, there's 31 minutes left. Of course, it's not 100% accurate with the live timing because it's a bit skewed with the cautions, etc. But that is fairly close. So if we go green to the end, we might just sneak in all 300 laps. But obviously, by the time we get to the end of this caution, they get back underway. It is very close indeed. So now you then have to do the old endurance racing technique of working back from that potential lap count you think we're going to get, and then work your strategy on that. But with the frequency of the cautions, it's so difficult to plan anything. But this is certainly working to be a tough one for the strategists.
Yeah, we're going to lose laps for the first time this season because of the time limit, effectively, which is an hour and 45 minutes, by the way, for those that are not aware, and we have not been able to complete the 300 laps. As you say, we are still able to if we go green to the very end, but that will be the biggest green flag run of the day by almost twofold, so it's unlikely.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's crazy what the speed the average speed difference is. Obviously tracks like this is just 150 miles compared to some longer races we do, but obviously so much shorter, being the short track. As Helm is going to get us underway, the Lagerkungen 300 once more. Look at the 4 Sim Race Sweden cars chasing him down. Hell Racers at the front, and Sim Race Sweden coming for that victory, but still 30 minutes remaining in the race. It looks like we're going to go time, but let's see how long this green flag period is.
Yeah, as I say, it would need to be the longest green flag run of the day by almost twofold here if they were to manage this, but it's still possible. Inside line for Fredriksson as we see maybe a change for the lead. Oh, that was close, and you saw his camera rattle around as he had to fight the car there.
Yeah, that was close to a big collision. That's where it gets past Blomqvist in the background for P5. He's slowly working his way back up after leading many laps earlier. Look at the bit of a slingshot there, but a 55 just holds on to that one. And this is a big difference in tyres, remember, as caution comes out. But we are 40 laps difference on the tyres between Helm and Fredriksson.
And I think the longer this goes on with short green flag runs followed by cautions, the more inclined Helm is to stay out, because he's continuing to build up an advantage for when he decides to come in and take those new tyres. His advantage will be larger. This is what happened. It was inside the top 10, and it's Xu who was into the wall, and thankfully he's not been caught up much in damage, but there was a spinner in the background as I think Stefan Wang tried to slow down. He got spun.
Yeah, that was an awkward one because he kind of did a 360 and continued. I'm sure he's got a bit of damage on the car. But then obviously it brings out the caution. So then some drivers have to slow down, and then a secondary accident is involved when in some ways you could potentially argue maybe it would have been okay to keep green, but obviously being a spinner, that's why the caution comes out. Here is Wang, as you say, gets caught up in behind with Tademo. I think that might have been, unfortunately.
That's not the first time Tademo has also been caught up in an incident, of course. I think he's many laps down now as a result of... where is he in the field? Yeah, indeed he is. He's 143 laps down, but still going to try and pick up some points after getting caught up in the second caution of the race, where he was spun into the wall, and I think by all accounts had the biggest crash of the race so far.
Yes, yes, definitely going up into the air, which is not always seen, but certainly possible, even at such a short track like this. And remember, we do have a couple of other shorter ones this season as well. Most notably, we finished the season at Phoenix. Obviously not quite as tight as this one. We've got a doubleheader at Iowa, which is always an interesting track as well. But we do have some super speedways coming. Well, Talladega round 4 of the season. Then the interesting one is Daytona, round 14, which is the final race of the regular season before we go into the playoffs. So that's going to be a very interesting race for the drivers to get those last final points or potentially wins to get themselves for the round of 15, which will start in Las Vegas. So some interesting different styles of circuits that we go to. And of course, we got the road course race at Indianapolis as well. So loads of stuff to come out with over the course of the season. Lap 190 of 30 though here for round 2 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan, and the 55 still leads the way.
It certainly does. And so we are not too far away from going green again now, as the time ticks down to 27 minutes remaining. Our software telling us that it's going to take us nearly 29 minutes to complete the remainder of the race, and by the time we go back green it would need to be an over 100 lap green flag run anyway, so it's not going to happen. And now we play the time game. As you say, how long is Helm really going to leave this? Surely he's not just going to play the long game and go to the very end here. I mean, it is possible, because we're going to time now, that he can go to the end of the race without stopping again, especially with the amount of cautions. However, will he actually try and do that? Surely his tyres are going to be toast by the end if he tries.
Yes, so he pit lap 120, so you'd need to 180 laps. We're told fuel goes 150, so then we'd have to minus 30 laps off that. So we need to finish quite a bit early for him to get there. But I think at some point the tyres will be so worn that everyone will pit, like we saw in about the maybe 4th or 5th caution. Everyone came in because it just made sense, because there's going to be such an advantage if you don't pit. The 55 for Hell Racers gets us underway though once again here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Once more, it's still Fredriksson and Holmer. They've been tied together on a shoestring for most of this race, and they continue on to battle down the 55 for this race win. A huge 40 lap advantage on the tyres for Fredriksson, but can he finally complete the move?
And because of the free passes, by the way, we've still got 13 on the lead lap, despite the incidents that we've had inside the top 10. Here goes Fredriksson to the inside, though, trying to be the top driver in that lead lap and can't quite do it. Helm goes round the outside and hangs on for another lap.
Yes, he certainly does, but I don't know if he's going to be able to hold on in general. He needs to get these slingshots off 2 and 4. Look how high he's going to then come back down, but look at the grip there for the 112. Contact is made between them. Don't push each other in the wall, and they don't do so. But surely the 12 is going to have the grip on the inside line, but no, the momentum is good on the outside.
The way that he's sort of arcing off the corners here, Helm, is and taking it what we describe on a road course as a late apex, but he is just stunting the progress of Fredriksson while doing it. So he's got the double advantage of that being clearly the ideal line for him. He likes running there, but also it stopped Fredriksson from getting to the inside. And because he takes such a high entry, he can't really go around the outside either. It's a pretty good tactic.
Yes, he's sort of doing the V-line, so Fredriksson's now going to the outside. He's trying something different. Is this going to work? He's got to be careful the 55 doesn't squeeze up into him, but no, look at the grip. The fresher grip there for the 112, and he gets past and he retakes that race lead. And is the 55 going to start dropping down? Because it looks like Holmer's going to try the same thing on the outside. No, in the background, though, the 12 goes around. Surely caution will come up, and it does. No other cars involved.
Yeah, nobody else involved, thankfully, but a devastating spin for Hagman in terms of his track position. He built that up over lap after lap after lap, and he's just seen it all go away. He's still on relatively new tyres compared to those around him, but I can't imagine they'll be feeling great after this.
And it was actually contact. Didn't quite see that initially, but it was the 6 just putting a bit of pressure once again on the rear right of a car. But this time turning him left down towards the apron, and I think he should be fairly okay with that, but of course just dropping some positions there. You see him a little bit further down, so not the ideal situation. 23.5 minutes remain in this race. Lap 200 it is of 300, but actually it won't be 300. The 55 comes down pit road, which makes sense with those older tyres. But I wonder how many laps we will get in those 23 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. If we're running clean and green through 23 minutes, should be 23 times 4, which is 96, but that seems unlikely, especially because we're not quite going green just yet. In terms of the cautions, by the way, it's been a very long time since we even got double figures in a run. The 9th run of this race was 15 laps, and that was quite a while ago now. Do you want to have a guess at how many cautions there's been so far? Have you lost count yet?
Is it 12?
No, I've got 13.
Oh, Lord.
So, yeah, close, but just 13. It's exponentially more than what we had 2 weeks ago, which is a very clean race at Fontana. We were both fearful, actually, after the opening 3-lap green flag run, but we had a very clean race a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, though Linus made the perfect video, though, didn't he? That he did on the YouTube channel of Auto Club versus Bristol. Every Monday night there is a test race, and it was actually worse than what we're seeing here. To be fair, but there's some big crashes. Whereas at Auto Club, I guess it's just because of the nature of it. It's so much bigger, so much longer, very wide, and just the corners as well, quite open and gradual, so you don't necessarily have the bunching up. But here it's just a pressure cooker, and it's rather remarkable, to be honest, that a track like this exists, but it does, and that's why we come racing here.
Yeah, what a great thing it is that we can still go racing here, and we do. Been racing here in NASCAR Cup Series, by the way, in real life since 1961. It's not a new thing. We've been going around here for a very long time indeed, over 60 years. So it's a fantastic addition to the calendar. I guess in more modern times there will have been discussions, especially in the past, about whether modern cars are getting too big for this kind of thing. But I've not heard those kind of discussions for a while, and that's a good thing. It's short tack racing. That's exactly what this is all about.
Yeah, it's a completely different skill, isn't it, from the speedways, and especially, of course, when we get to the restrictor plates. It's just a completely different genre as such of the racing. But on the short tracks, you've got to have a little bit more finesse in many ways, and you've got to look after those tires, because you really especially in 1 and 3, you really push and put a load of heat and load into them, and of course they will just wear out over time. We saw the scenes from Bristol last year in real life with the tyres basically going down to the carcasses, and with how much the tyres wear, it's certainly a tough track. But the 112 is going to get us underway once more. And this green flag period will get us underway on lap 203 of the Lagerkungen 300. On the outside line is going to be Dan Homer, who should just about hold on to that second place, but Savicki on the inside is going to be trying to make something happen. Helmer only dropped down to 7th place with that pit stop, and now he's on the fresh tyres. A big dive from Savicki. Contact is going to be made. The 112 goes around. Surely the caution is going to come out as the drivers all slow down. Multiple drivers involved as they all try to find their position. Helmer actually went around once more, but maybe when the caution come out, he should have his position saved.
Maybe, but the caution I don't think was quite out yet. He was just tapped around at the very, very end by someone. He was making good progress initially, but he will drop to the end of the lead lap, I would expect, and he has now to 13th. So he's got a lot of work to do. That was not the start he wanted to his run back through the field. And
was that a little bit too ambitious from the 6? We'd have to see it again to make a proper judgment of that, of course. He's on 20 lap fresher tyres. How much of a dive was this here? He was really focusing on the 79, I think, initially. Then the opportunity came to get the 112, and unfortunately, just not enough space for them all. Yeah, just came up ever so slightly. Fredriksson was holding a pretty stable line, and the 6 by about half a car width, maybe a full car width, coming up and just tagging the back of him. I think your assessment is the one I agree with there, to be honest. I think he was just coming up from the very bottom of the racetrack a little bit too much. And in the end, he's kind of gotten away with it. He stays out, puzzlingly, as does Fredriksson. So the two of them are going to line up directly behind one another, or in front and behind of one another, on the outside line on this restart, whereas the likes of Forsland and Blomqvist have made their way down pit lane. And interesting for some drivers on fresher tyres. So now we've got Uvinen and Wang on the lead lap. They are going to be on pretty fresh tyres, 40-odd lap freshers than the leading two. We've got Broström back up into 3rd place. He's been up, down, left and right. He's been literally facing the wrong way in this race, but he's now got half a shout. But then the order changes every time we get a caution, so you never know what it's going to be like until we get to what will end up being the last 5 laps of the race. And by the way, because of the free passes, we've got Kenneth Tier back on the lead lap, so we should have 14 again on the lead lap. Now, the next driver laps down is Christopher Dahlstrand, who we haven't spoken much of today, but he's 2 laps down at the moment. Then Michael Hagström's in the next position, 4 or 5 laps off the driver in front of him. Then there's another lap gap, then another lap gap, then 4 more, 5 more, another 1, another 2. You get the idea. Nobody's on the lead lap, or on the same lap, I should say, as to one another when we're off the lead lap. So the driver with the least laps down will get free passes until they get back onto the lead lap, as Kenneth Tier just had 2 free passes in a row to get back on the lead lap, and Dahlstrand will need at least 2 more cautions in this race to get back on the lead lap himself. This is such a game of patience, and it's quite remarkable that some drivers who have wrecks are still able to have their opportunity to win. So what we've ended up with really is a top 5 on old tyres. So Homer, Fredriksson are on 50 laps, Broström's on 20, Savicki on 29, and then Kinnell on 40, and then everyone behind is under 10 laps on their tyres. So it's now these top 4 that are really the ones under threat. So it's very interesting how things turn around. Look at all of the movers up there inside the top 10, subject to a few drivers. Of course, Ericsson giving everyone a free position, but then yes, it's going to be a tough one obviously for him to come back, because he's now out of the lobby, as he has been, was not able to rejoin. Simrace Sweden, they take the front row for another time. We have 16.5 minutes remaining here from Bristol, and we are now working our way to another restart, but we never know when the final restart is going to be. Well, that was going to be a restart, but we're going to get an extra lap by the looks of it. Don't know why, but decided to delay it by an extra lap. So it'll be the very rare 7-lap caution. The pace truck, I hope, has enough fuel in it, because it's done quite a few laps. Didn't that happen at Le Mans this year? Well, I wouldn't be surprised.
One of the 24-hour races. There was a lot of safety cars in 24-hour races this year. Very different style of racing, of course, but I could have sworn there was... Maybe I dreamt it up. It's entirely
maybe it was Nürburgring, because they were out for hours. But hopefully the pace truck, as the lights do come out, we are going to be going back racing. It's Homer on the inside in the 79 machine. He's got his old team boss in behind him, the 71 for Morby Bright Esports. Linus Broström goes up the inside as there's a slow run for a couple of drivers. And that just held everyone back in that midfield. So Helm, after being involved in a caution, is actually up into 5th place, and he's on fresh tyres. So look out for him. Forsland is the highest one on the absolutely fresh tyres as well. We continue racing 15 minutes to go, I should say, as the 79 leads.
Broström pulls out the way. He knows that this is not his battle to have right now, and so allows Helm to go through. You might be forgiven for thinking 15 minutes is a long way to go, but actually that's not true, because a lot of those minutes are going to be taken up by cautions if previous history is anything to go by, and so Helm needs to make up these places as quickly as he can.
And that's also 60 laps, which is our longest green flag run. So it'd have to be equaling that to the end of the race. 56 lap old tyres for Homer at the front. They are going to be starting to bite very quickly. And we're already seeing that Helm in the 55 is coming for them. Can he make his way past? Of course, he had contact with the 6 previously in this race. Now Sakari's got to get past.
Yeah, it certainly is.
And hopefully he's able to hold on to...
With so little time remaining, the stakes couldn't be higher now.
Yeah, they certainly couldn't. And hopefully he can hold on to that one. The 71, he's got a teammate, Aroldsson, out of nowhere. Oh, actually, the Aroldsson is, of course, laps down. I was getting a bit too excited there for a minute, but he's got himself a teammate to push him, at least, for what that is worth around here. He's going to get past Forsen. The 24, actually, is getting up into the wall. And hopefully the 71 can just chop that one down, and he can to hold on. But this is very awkward with, of course, the lap car of the 24 getting involved in this battle.
Oh, and there you go. Another caution. Unsure as to who that's for, actually.
So that's the... Can't quite read the top of that. Is it 84? 84? No, 85. That is going to be. And who is the 85? That is Stefan Wang, who, of course, it was was involved in one of the cautions earlier, just wasn't able to slow down in time, and he has brought out the caution again. 13 minutes remaining. Let's see this one as he works his way through the corner, just slide in the rear end, and I don't think anyone else is going to collect him as he was on that inside line. Yeah, he should be okay from that point of view, but enough to bring out the caution.
Yep, so that's number 15 of the day, as far as I can work out. So another one brought out with the amount of laps we're going to have under caution here. That's going to take us to about 10 minutes to go. And yeah, strange call. I would have thought he'd stay out to the end, to be honest.
So the lead lap is now 12 cars from what I can see. And he's on 31 lap old tyres. I think this is it's a strong choice, because I think from this point the top 2 are going to stay out. So if there's a longer green flag run and he can work his way up, there might be half a shout there for the 71.
So now I think everybody should stay out, to be honest. I think the track position you lose with the very little tyre wear gain that you'd get is not really worth it, especially for someone like Broström, who gains time throughout the stints and is good at saving tyres. Don't know if this proper dash to the end is a great thing that suits his driving, but we'll see if he can fly through the field. I'd be impressed if he can, but I feel like staying out would have been a better idea.
I think it might be damage. He's having a bit of a longer stop here, so he probably has damage from the previous. Yeah, his stop is sort of like 15 seconds longer than some others, so he probably had some repairs that he wanted to try and make, and obviously this is a good time to eat up some of those seconds.
In that case, I will retract that, because. Yeah, that's the reason why. It's not a tactical decision, clearly. It is a damage-based one, so fair enough. I'll take that back. But yeah, not many left on the lead lap now. Although Broström has still managed to stay on, he's one of very few now, just 12, as you say, and it's going to be a real dash again on this restart. But which one's going to be the last restart? We just don't know.
So 63 lap old tyres for Holmer and Fredriksson, but that isn't 63 racing laps. But still, it's a big advantage for the likes of Broström and Kenneth Tier, who are at the back of the lead lap, P11 and 12. But they need to do some work. They've only got 10 minutes left to do it. How many of those 10 minutes will be under green? I'm expecting another few cautions, let's put it that way, before we get to the end. We do have... I was about to say we do have the potential for green white checker, but we're not going to get to that point because we're not even going to get to the lap counts. So it is going to be a straight run, and hopefully we do not finish under caution in that situation as well. Dan Holmer is on the inside. He's got his teammate Fredriksson on the outside. They've been together for so long in this race. Can they secure a 1-2 for Sim Race Sweden? They got the 55 helm trying to make that not happen. And also the 6 of Suiki as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. For the Lagerkungen 300 getting underway once more. The top 2 have secured that for now, but the 55 is coming in strong.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be very difficult to hold back Helm in these final 10 minutes. He's already made his way past Suzuki, and now he's looking on the inside again. We know that he's strong here, but then those two at the front are taking on that line that he was using earlier on, going in high and going in late. And look at that spin as Suzuki gets into the back of Helm, who spins in front of the field.
Yeah, Forsland was the one who got caught up in that, but once again the 55 and the 6 have contact as the other way around this time, and that is not ideal. Forsland, we've already seen him recovering from some contact before. He was in a decent position, and now with 9 minutes to go, the time is running out to get those positions back. Yeah, and
Helm has made a remarkable recovery there. I'm not sure how much of that was his doing or not, but he's made a very remarkable recovery to get back into that position, and he's still in with a chance in this race. Despite all that's happened before, he's still in with a chance.
Yes, certainly is. Is there going to be a final round of pit stops, or are we going to just see the track position games continue? I think that is the way to go. It's been working out for them. They're going to have plenty of fuel. And the tyres should be fine. Let's see this once more. Suzuki just goes to the outside, just tags ever so slightly the 55. Forsand, of course, going in the back there. I think that was Blomqvist was the other driver, just making some small bits of contact. Everyone looks like they slowed down just about to avoid a further wreck.
Yeah, so that was lucky as Shu comes into the pit lane again with just under just over 8 minutes to go. Looked like there was damage maybe on the rear end of that car to tend to, which may be the reason for it. But yeah, I mean, Helm got away with one, and I think Forsand was the unlucky one throughout that incident. That's fair to say. I mean, does that make Helm still the favourite for this race from 5th position? It may be. I think the way he's played this one has been very, very strong, and strategically anyway, he's played this race very strongly, and so he's still in a good place to win from here, but it's going to be tricky. I mean, it's going to be tricky for whoever wins, to be honest. At this stage in the race, any restart could be the last one, to be honest, and this next one could be, and so could the one after that, or the one after that. You know, it's within that stage of the race now, especially with the time limitation.
So Dan Holmer, he had 2 poles last season and 2 wins. He finished 6th overall in the standings. We have 13 top 10s as well, which is a very good result. And in general, was just a strong candidate last year. Of course, that was with Bright Esports. He's moved over to Sim Race Sweden, along with the 112 behind him, Fredriksson. He's also moved over, having been in 4s last year. So it's a new team for both of the drivers, and they are coming in strong. Also, Fredriksson didn't get a win last season, but he did get 4 top 10s. So this would be one of his better results in this series. So it's looking good for a driver, maybe less so successful in this series, to try and get a win. Of course, their teammate Ericsson, Jesper Ericsson, that was disconnecting or whatever technical issue it was, of course, is stopping him from winning this race, but that doesn't mean one of his teammates can't do so. We've got the 55 in behind, who's also looking very strong despite being involved in that wreck that has brought out this caution. 6 minutes remain. We've got enough for 24 laps of action. And can they go green? But I don't think so, because everyone is fighting so hard to get this win. Second round of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. We go green once more with exactly 6 minutes remaining on the clock. We're not going to get the lap count, but just how many will there be?
Oh, not many. Sawicki, very nearly spinning already, and the caution out immediately. I mean, barely, meters made, and Helm is the one, I think, who's brought it out by spinning off of turn 2.
And unfortunately, the 6 had to come down pit road there. He didn't have a choice. And that is not going to be the ideal situation. So the 55 and the 6, 2 cars who you could put, you know, some money on winning this race. And they're now basically both going to be out. The 6 very slow there. Very, very slow indeed. Coming through turn 1 and 2. Was he coming in the pit road anyway? Something like that. He was way too slow on that inside line. Surely that's got to be some sort of issue.
I don't know, really. I think that may just be the line, and then eventually he's forced to come into pit lane and so has to slam on the brakes. He is going rather slowly, I suppose, isn't he? I can't tell. I would be going for no. He wasn't coming for pit lane, because it would be strange to do immediately off the restart, but it is possible because the speed difference was very large.
Yeah, I'm just not 100% sure with what we saw there. Obviously not to say that he was doing anything on purpose, but he was just doing way slower speeds than the 2 cars, because you also had the car on the outside that was Blomqvist as well in the 487, basically doing the same speed as Helm. So interesting one there. Interesting one indeed for these stewards to look at. That's going to be a fun night for Linus Broström, who he himself has got back up into that 6th place. Remember, he's on the freshest tyres, 52 laps fresher than Dan Holmer. But in the 4 minutes remaining, is there going to be enough green flag laps to get those positions?
There really aren't going to be very many green flag laps. Let's have a listen in here. Trying to decide from the revs.
I think he wasn't going in pit lane, that's for sure. I think he was just being slightly overly cautious.
Maybe, but I mean, that was very, very cautious.
Yeah.
If it is. So I'm puzzled by that, to be honest. I really don't know how to call that at all. It's strange, for sure. It's taken them both out the race as well. They're both well outside the top 10 now, and all of a sudden this race is wide open. I think the track position all of a sudden has become a very big factor here, and has become something that you can hang on to the very end, and Holmer might well be able to do that. There won't be very many laps now. This may well be the last restart.
Yeah, what a shout by SimRace Sweden to get their drivers in position. And it really helps that they've got a 1-2 as well. They can really just control that situation. And it's really actually a 1-2-3 as well, with Blomqvist in behind now. There's Jokka in the 34 machine. I think he'll be a bit disappointed to not get at least a top 5 results from the speed that he showed early on. But he did struggle. When we had that long 60-lap run, it did show he didn't have the tyre wear compared to everyone else, really dropped down. As of course we're seeing the drivers now get themselves into position for another restart.
So the lights go off on top of the pace car, and I reckon there'll be about 9 laps to go when they get to the line. It's not inconceivable that they can make it the whole way with just 9 laps, because that's been around the average length of a run. Although I say that, we haven't reached 9 laps in a run since the 9th run of this race. This next one will be run number 18.
18. Wow. What a track Bristol is. We came here for round 3 last season. Round 2 it is this time around, and it is 2 SimRace Sweden cars at the front of the grid. 2 minutes remain. Are they going to be under green flag? Let's go racing once more. The Lagerkungen 300 is underway for potentially the final time. The top 2 get away amazingly, as Hogman is really trying to chase him down with Broström. They're on fresher tyres than the top 2. Is there enough laps for them to get this race win?
It looks like the 2 teammates are going to work together to the end here. Holmer might well just be helped to victory by Oscar Fredriksson, who's fought so hard for this race lead so far in this race. Now he's got to fight to keep Hogman back for as long as possible. 1.5 minutes to go. Should be 6 or 7 laps.
Yeah, this is looking good for them, but the 12 has try to look in the mirror because he has definitely a bit more grip in the corners. Helm is making his way past Forsen in the background for P8, but this battle for P2 is going to be getting tight. Broström has lost a position to Tier. Tier's also on the fresher tyres in that same way. The 12, is he going to get the up and under?
He was only two laps down, by the way, Tier, only about 50 laps ago. What a great recovery for the 49. As we look at Helm still running through the field, he's got some of the best tyres of anybody. Pfeffer back on the lead lap as well. Those who were off the lead lap until very recently have suddenly got onto it and are starting to gain big positions inside the top 10.
Marcus Hogman plus 29, Pfeffer plus 24 in this race at Bristol. What a crazy one. 40 seconds remain, just a few laps, and it is looking very nice as Forsen somehow still inside the top 10.
By the way, Uvenen still with half a car in 8th place, which is a great job from him as well. There's the look on board from Fürstland, also with half a car. There's not much bodywork left on these cars anymore, but that's what you expect here at Bristol. Mere seconds remaining. I think final lap is either coming up this time or next.
And Holmer's got a bit of a gap. He's got half a second to his teammate, and white flag is going to come out, and it is looking good for Dan Holmer. He and his Simrace Sweden teammate, they're going to be coming around the final corner. Helm goes around for another time, but it looks like it's going to be Dan Holmer to come across the line and win the second race, the Bohlin Svenska iRacing The Lagerkungen 300 goes to Dan Holmer in the 79 machine.
And in the end, that 8-lap run to the end was enough for Simrace Sweden to exercise their team advantage. Fredriksson's got to take a lot of credit for the way he raced today as well, fighting so hard for the lead early on for himself, then holding on to second place to help his teammate to victory. This is a proper team victory here at Bristol that allows Dan Holmer to not only secure a win and bump everyone else, but place in the playoffs as well.
Yeah, big point there, Ewan. Getting a win gets you in the playoffs, and now he doesn't have to worry. He can just focus on getting some extra points at the stages over the course of the next 12 races that remain in the regular season. We ended up with 245 laps, so we were some 55 laps short, subject to all those cautions, and here is the results after those laps. Dan Holmer won in the end by just 0.2 of a second, so Simrace Sweden 1-2 with Fredriksson in second place. Then we have 3 Chevys in a row with Hogman. Tier from 2 laps down gets in 4th place. Broström, I think overall he should be somewhat satisfied with 5th, but he probably, if it went longer green flag runs, probably had the pace to win. Pfeffer, the number 200 in P6. Then we have Uvenen, Forsen, Hoer and Kinnel inside your top 10. And ironically, Alex Aronson getting your fastest lap, despite obviously being many laps down. Stefan Wang there in P11, a lap down already. Look how many laps down some of these drivers were. Then we had Blomqvist, Dahlström, Helm in the end, P14. That's a shame for him. Sawicki as well. They should have potentially been inside that top 5 after the speed that they had today. Hagström, Åkesson, Peppels, Norgren, Auto. Loads of drivers who are up towards the front, but ending many laps down. Schott, Helmbro, Broström, Stiller, Ericsson inside your top 25, Motin, Skoglund, Gantz, Nyholm and Vuderberg inside your top 30. Then we go to drivers over 100 laps down. There is Aronson from your front row of the grid. He'll be ruining that, but it seems like he did get towards the finish for some extra points. Then Holmbom, Tidemo, Lundberg and Jesper Eriksson, who I would say he probably would have won the race, subject to obviously all those cautions, but he was looking fast, and unfortunately a technical difficulty, and he has to unfortunately finish at the back. But the 79, so well controlled from the front. Let's get a word with him as we'll jump into the interviews, and let's see how Dan is feeling. Of course, Dan, you've joined Simrace Sweden in the 79 machine, moving over from Bright Esports. It's just the second race of the season, and already you've got victory.
Yeah, it's a good feeling. We're having a great spirit in this team, so yeah.
How do you how do you think that race really went for you? Of course, there were so many cautions. It was so difficult, especially in the first 100 laps, to really get a rhythm going. And then eventually we had about a 60-lap green run. How was your car feeling, you know, with all the sort of the stop-start situation?
Yeah, I was starting to get a bit bored by the yellows, but I just try to keep calm and do my stuff. And it went well.
It certainly did.
Yeah.
In that final, well, I say the final stint, but really the final sort of 50 laps where we had multiple cautions, how important was having Oscar behind you as a little bit of like a back door to hold up the guys?
Oscar did a great job being back there and holding the other guys back so I can get the gap. We talked about it in the chat, so he was a very important person, driver, racer this race.
Yeah, it was a very nice race for you, so congratulations, Dan, for your victory, and we'll see you in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then next we'll bring in his teammate Oscar Fredriksson in the 112 machine, getting a P2 finish. That is a nice result from you. Also similar to your teammate down there, jumping over from fours into Sim Race Sweden. It seems like you're settling in nicely. Just how was that teamwork to get that 1-2?
Yeah, really good teamwork. Obviously worked with Holmer before in Force Esports, but yeah, we worked really good all race long, just managing the cars around us and sticking to our positions and managing the tires.
And from a driver's perspective, how was the racing here? We saw so many tight battles, especially turns 1 and 3, diving up the inside. It gets pretty sketchy with some drivers.
Yeah, it was really scary. It's so tight and it's really sketchy on the exits. If you can stay high and get a good traction out of the corner, you get really much more speed than the car you're fighting. So it was all about managing what line you're on and depending on what tires the other guys are on that you're fighting. But if you could stick to the high line, you had the position out of the corner.
And how difficult was it to keep the concentration? I think it's about 17 cautions that we ended up with. And every time you go green, you have to just switch your brain on and focus again.
Yeah, I felt like the cautions helped. It's really intense to drive here with the high bank and the high speed for such a short and bumpy track. So it helped regain some focus, kind of reflecting on what you did good and bad the previous laps, and kind of reset and get back into it.
And do you think you can get a win this season? Of course, Holmer's now through to the playoffs. Maybe he can help you try and get a win next time.
Yeah, I think so. I think I have the pace for it and the experience now from last season. A bit bummed that this shouldn't be my win, because I had the lead until I got turned. But glad that Holmer got the win instead of me, compared to someone else. But yeah, I definitely think I have the pace and the experience now for a win. You just need to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, well, good luck, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks in Kansas.
Thank you. See you.
And then lastly, on the podium, we'll bring in Marcus Hogman, who had a very crazy race in that 12 machine. And Marcus, you went up and down, side to side in that race, but you ended up with P3. Just how are you feeling?
I'm feeling like my race, basically, like a roller coaster. Like I said, I've been up and down and side to side, and I think I've been everywhere. But that was basically my strategy, just take it easy from the start and just ride along, staying on the lead lap, and do the pit stops when I needed to, and it kind of worked out. I even got some stage points, so yeah, I'm happy about that. And that was a team, not win, but the team podium. So I really want to thank my team, MH Racing, also Mabi Rental Cars, the Skur Squad, and Bohlin's Racing, Bohlin's for supporting this league, and you guys for commentating.
Thank you. Certainly good fun. How was it with all those cautions? As you mentioned, you stayed out. When we had that really long run, you stayed out. Was it difficult to decide when to pit? Because when you have so many cautions every 5 laps, it doesn't really make sense which is the best one to make a pit stop.
It's really hard to decide when to pit. And I think I pitted too late. I should have gone in when everybody else went in. But on the other hand, I got some points for the lead lap, which I wouldn't have gotten if I hadn't stayed out. And it turned out good anyway, so yeah, it's hard to know when to go in, but you just have to gamble. And this time it paid off. Next time it might not.
Yeah, absolutely. And how are you feeling for the rest of the season? Of course, you left the Fours squad last season. Now in MHE Racing, what do you think you can do over the next 12 races to the end of the regular season?
Really, what needs to be done is for the other two drivers to have some luck also. So that's basically what we need to. I don't know how to practice how to get luck, but I think practice to not put yourself in bad spots. Otherwise, I get a good feeling. I mean, after the first race, we're third in the team championship, which is fantastic, and we'll see where we are after this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So congratulations on your P3, strong result, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. Cheers, guys.
So no worries. And that is the end of Bristol. And what a crazy race that was, with going under the multiple cautions, not even getting the lap count. But that is Bristol, baby. And that is the second race of the season complete. Of course, we go racing once more in a couple of weeks' time. We go to Kansas, which was a very interesting race last season. We had some late green flag runs, and Jesper Eriksson was able to come through and beat Linus Broström on the fresher tyres. I wonder how that one is going to work. The 26th of September, that is the date, same time, same place here on RaceSpotTV, 8 p.m. And we can't wait to see what is going to happen with that one. Of course, we get the IndyCar series and the Road Course series starting up as well. So there's going to be racing very regularly here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. We can't wait to see how that is going to work between now and May 2025. But for today, it's been myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me in the commentary booth, and Hugo Louise on the cameras for this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until next time, in a couple of weeks at Kansas, we wish you a very warm goodbye.